Can you hear me? I'm loud anyway. On Friday, what we're going to do is before you all leave after breakfast, we're going to go through like a little survey, what you like, what do you think we can do a little bit different, that type of stuff. But right now, we're very, very fortunate to have with us our former First Lady, Gayle Manchin. Senator Manchin was supposed to be here today, but he's voting on immigration today, I think, isn't it, in Washington. So I just want to tell you real quick a little bit about my friend, Miss Gayle. I met Gayle 14 years ago. We met through music, and we share a huge love of education, especially arts and music education. When she was First Lady, we did a lot of initiatives for arts education throughout the state, and she's a current member of the state Board of Education. There's only 9 members on that board. They're governor appointed. She works hard every day to make sure that we have the best education system in the state of West Virginia. So she's going to come and talk to you a little bit about what's going on with education in the state. She's going to talk about what you should be doing for your future, and you get to ask her any question you want to ask her, okay? All right, Miss Gayle, give a big hand.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll tell you, we could not have a more beautiful day to celebrate West Virginia's birthday. And also, the whole weekend, I think, is supposed to be beautiful. So, I understand that you all are in the 9th grade. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Very good. Well, it really is an honor for me to be here. I had thought that I would be accompanying my husband here this morning, and that he would actually be the one speaking to you. But the Senate scheduled votes both last night and this morning, and so that obviously delayed his ability to come in, and also Senator Rockefeller would have been coming in too. But I did come in last night. I didn't want to miss 1 minute of anything that was going on today. You know, we are so fortunate in this state for many reasons. We live in a beautiful state. This is a state that has very strong family values. We care about one another. We support one another. It is just a wonderful place to have the opportunity to grow up and to live. And as a member of the Board of Education, I take very seriously that I play a role every day in how we promote education, the type of education that we have around this state. I feel accountable to you, to your parents, to your community. But I also want to stress to you that it's very important that you feel accountable to yourself, that you work hard every day, that you are now in 9th grade. You're in a position where you have to start thinking about what you're going to do out of high school. You will find the older you get that life is all about what you have done, your past, where you are, and where you want to go in the future. One of my jobs on the State Board of Education is to make sure that we adequately prepare you so that you can go anywhere you want to go. There is no dream too big for you to have. We have the responsibility of just making sure that we give you the background and the foundation and the skills that you need to be able to achieve whatever you want. And so I ask you to think about where you've been in the past, your schooling, how you've done in school. Think about where you are now, and remember that you are at this wonderful sort of midway point. You've got high school there ahead of you, so you can strive and achieve and be whatever you want to be. And I would just encourage you to work hard every day. Take nothing for granted. Strive and raise the bar for yourself to be the very best you can be. You're at a wonderful point in your life with your whole future ahead of you, and you know, I have a unique experience that I share West Virginia's birthday. I would like to just lay it out there that I am not as old as West Virginia, but we do share the same day. And how shocked I was to find out that every year on my birthday, when all of these festivities were going on, and I thought it was all about me, and I found out it really wasn't. It was all about West Virginia. So today and this weekend, what a marvelous 150 years. I think if you listen today to all that you will be exposed to in terms of the birthday, you realize how resilient the people here in West Virginia have been, how strong they had to be, both physically and also in character, to have endured life here many years ago when the first pioneers came into this state, crossed over those western mountains of Virginia to settle here. It wasn't easy, and yet they endured and they stayed, and so your roots are strong. Your foundation here in West Virginia is strong. And so you have so much to be proud of in your traditions, in our culture, and all that you are being exposed to this weekend in celebration of our life and our family here in West Virginia. So thank you for being here. I'd like to thank the teachers, staff, chaperones, parents that made this possible for the students to be here. And I hope each one of you will also say thank you, that they made this possible for you all to come and be a part of this great celebration. And with that being said, I would ask you if you have any questions, any comments. Yes. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mary. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Well, that will be my best greeting of the whole day. Thank you so much for starting my day out like that. Any other questions? I think it's a great honor. But as I mentioned earlier, I also think it's a great responsibility. I feel accountable to every student in West Virginia. I believe that in many parts of this state we need to level the playing field, that every child in West Virginia does not have the same opportunities for the best quality of education, and that's not right. So we need to continue to work on that. I feel responsible that decisions that we make impact your lives, the school, the community, your families. I feel responsible that we need to make sure that we hear the voices of our students and of our parents, of teachers and administrators. If we are not doing what you all feel is in the best good. So I don't take it lightly. I consider it a great responsibility, and I feel very accountable. And when things are not, when we look at scores and how we fare among other states with other students around the world, I'm embarrassed. I think we can do better. So we will continue to strive to do that. But thank you for your question.
What's it like being married to a U.S. Senator?
Hectic. And you don't know your calendar very often. And of course with us, obviously Joe's responsibility is to be in D.C. when the Senate is in session, to be there for votes, to be there for committee meetings, to represent West Virginia every day. Because I have responsibilities here in West Virginia, we are not always together, but we both feel like that we're trying to do what we need to do, and we've always been a team. But it's different. I've had the opportunity to meet some of the other Senate spouses, some which are women, some which are men, and that's a great opportunity to meet individuals from across this country whose husband or wife serves in the U.S. Senate. When you think about it, it's really pretty overwhelming that Joe is one of 100 people that represent this country, the greatest country in the world, and the greatest form of government in the world. So I get cold chills when I talk about it or think about it. I think that's a pretty awesome opportunity.
Madam, correct me if I'm wrong. I have met your brother-in-law, Dr. Mark Manchin. Did I hear something?
No, he is actually a first cousin.
Okay, cousin, I'm sorry. And I want to say he has a very colorful personality, and I appreciate that. And he is head of the SBA, the National Chamber of Commerce.
Correct.
And, we have met a few times, and I really love his family. They're just great.
Well, I will explain to you, talking about being a chip off the old block. I don't know if any of you ever met or heard a James Manchin, who was our Secretary of State and also the State Treasurer at one time. Well, that is his father. So he gives his flamboyancy very honestly. But he's a great individual. Another person who works hard every day through the State Building Authority to allocate money across the state to build, improve, renovate, bring up to speed the schools. So so he's working very hard. But yeah, he is quite a character.
What are some of the most current problems, tough decisions that you have to make that will impact us a lot?
As a state board member, as we continue to raise the rigor of the standards in the state, which we think is very important, we're going to compete not only with states around us, but if we're going to compete globally, we have got to have much more rigorous standards across our state. I think, so that is an issue that we continue. I think the fact that we are able to make conditions better in our schools for our teachers and our principals that allow them more flexibility in how they do their job. And one of those instances would be in our hiring practices, how we hire teachers and make sure that that there are voices out there that are heard in that opportunity. That we know that we work very closely with higher ed, so that we know when you graduate, you will be career ready or college ready. If you want to go to a community school, if you want to continue with a credentialing program from a community, from your career tech centers, that you have a straight pipeline, that you're able to do that. If you want to go to a four-year college, that you have the skill sets that you need so that you have a straight pipeline. To me, that is probably the most urgent need that we have right now, is to make sure that our students graduate with the skill sets they need to go on and get whatever further education they need to get a good job right here in West Virginia. Because we don't want to lose you all. You're the future of our state. We want to keep you here, but we want you well educated and well prepared for the jobs of the 21st century.
If you have issues with your county board, do you go up to the board you're on?
You mean if you personally have an issue, or if in the school has an issue? Or-
Everybody has an issue with their board, but.
Oh, we really?
Yeah, definitely.
I would say to you that we live in a very democratic society where people are supposed to have a voice, that either individually or as a group, you want to write a letter to the state board. We would be more than happy. We also have delegations each month that come to our state board meetings, sometimes to present issues or questions, and we welcome that. In fact, always extremely pleased to see that people have enough interest and commitment to something that they want to speak out. So I would encourage you, if you have some issues, to speak up and speak out.
What is one thing you think that us, the city, should do to make it easier on the full education and everything? Like, how make our education better in the community?
I think to work hard every day, but I think to make sure that you have in your own mind sort of a pathway. I'm not saying you need to know tomorrow what your career is going to be, but I think you ought to be thinking in your mind a pathway. There are some options in schools now that you can sort of diagnostically look at yourself and see where your strengths are and some of the job opportunities that are out there for that skill set. So the more that you take personal responsibility for your education and deciding the courses you want to take, courses you need to take, apply yourself, but when you feel there's a problem or issue, speak up. I mean, we need people to be more willing to stand up for what they believe in, or for if there is something really good happening, that's good to celebrate. But if there's something not so good happening, then we need to talk about it. But I think each person realizing that, you know, your parents can be very supportive, your community can be very supportive, but if you don't have a sense of responsibility yourself, that when you look in the mirror every day, that you can say to yourself, I'm doing the best I can do every day. I'm giving it my all, because there's nothing more important than your future, and you have to build into that future.
How do you think West Virginia will have changed by the 200th anniversary of West Virginia educationally?
I'm sorry. I couldn't
Stand
hear.
up, stand up.
How do you think West Virginia will change educationally by the 200th anniversary?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you know, when you think about how much our lives have changed in the last 100 years, the last 50 years, the technology that we have, you understand that when I was growing up, there wasn't television. Now, I know that just really puts me over the edge, but, you know, I look at that, I think about, I didn't have television when I was little, and now, look at what you all and younger children have from birth. So how much more radically is that going to change, and how much more drastically? It's hard for me to really get my arms around it. I think that education will continue to be more customized, that each individual student will have many more opportunities, whether it's through digital learning, online classes, and who knows what else will come out in the future. But I think we will have so many more opportunities, each one of us, to take classes that we specifically want, goals that we want to specifically shoot for, that we will have those kinds of opportunities. Because more and more we realize that one size does not fit all, that one way of teaching certainly does not fit all, and so we're learning too. I mean, education is learning, but certainly I think what we think of as a classroom will cease to exist in another 50 years.
What's your opinion on the year-round schooling? What is your opinion on the year-round schooling?
Well, I will tell you that I have a couple of granddaughters that are extremely upset with me, but I believe that a balanced calendar, what we call a balanced calendar, which means you would, for example, go to school for 9 weeks and be off 3, so that you would sort of have a year-round concept of education, I believe is a much better, I don't know, how many of you go out and hoe the gardens in the summer? All right. Pick the crops. Okay, well we do have, well all right. I was going to say, You know, when our educational system was set up, it was all about the agrarian calendar and for farming, and so that the children could be home on the farm to plow the fields and plant the seeds and pick the crops and do all that. It's just that today that is not so much the case. So my personal belief is that it is, for our most disadvantaged students, it is absolutely critical. No students should go 3 months without seeing a book or having good nutrition or having the opportunity to interact with other students and having activities. But I think even the most blessed student in this state loses when for 3 months you are not having a routine or a sort of concentrated activity. But as I said, I have 2 granddaughters that have both given me a thumbs down. So I've got some selling to do, I can tell.
What is your favorite or most inspirational moment you've had being on the Board of Education?
Can we count?
Well, there really have been a lot. I think the most inspirational was the day I was sworn in. I just was so very proud to have the opportunity to be a part of that group. I've had, when we visit counties, which we do a lot for our board meetings, we will go around the counties, I'm always overwhelmed at what our schools are doing, what our teachers are doing in the classrooms and our students, and the fact that I get this very personal opportunity to visit and see some of the good things that are going on. So there's lots of inspirational moments, and it's usually around when we're visiting schools and talking to students.
I've had to talk about it a lot, but how do you feel whenever like students come to speak about anything?
Oh, I value that very much. I mean, I think we all do. It's, you know, it's a voice that we don't ask for enough, and I will be the first to admit that. We are very prone to talk about what we think students want and need, and we should do a much better job of asking students what they feel they want and need. So you need to remind us of that.
How many years have you been serving on the Board of Education?
I came on the board in 2007, so I have 2 years. We serve 9-year terms. They're staggered, so each year someone retires from the board and a new appointment is made. So I have 2 years left to serve.
Can you serve again?
You can, but I personally believe that 9 years is probably as long as a person should serve, because there are many people out there very qualified, and so it gives someone else a chance. You always need new blood coming in, I think.
If you were to have year-round school, how would you make that work around fairs and other summer camps and activities that kids do get the chance to interact with, which have government-funded author like this and everything like that?
You know, and that's a great question, and one that we talk about when we talk about the balanced calendar. Obviously, it would take some rescheduling and looking, but what I think you would do, you would have, and you would actually have in that summer, during that summer, there would be, and I'm trying to think now how, whether it's 4 weeks or how that works, but it would be longer. But yeah, you need to look at things like football practice and camps and basketball and cheerleading and these summer camps. They would, but trust me, they figured it out 100 years ago. We can figure this out.
A couple more questions.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of our schools in the state are older and don't have things like central air conditioning. Most of our buses don't. How does the state feel they could raise the money to make the proper upgrades to go to a balanced calendar?
Well, again, any major change does not come without a lot of planning, and but now you think about the days that we lose in bad weather, and buses trying to run on roads sometimes that are not suitable. And so I think these are all things that we have to deal with, just like making sure that our schools all have the broadband width that they need, so that we can run air conditioners or refrigerators and computer labs at the same time, and it doesn't crash. Which there were schools that and we're getting that accomplished. So, I think it takes people working together, figuring out a solution. I guess I can't accept sitting around the table and saying we can't do it. I believe in sitting around the table and having discussions about what are some viable solutions to the issue. One more.
Last question.
Well, in certain schools, like mine, for
Stand up.
example, in certain schools, like mine, for example, they care more about sports than they do education and the arts. We tried actually having a meeting with the principal, and she just shot down every single solution we tried. There were at least 20 of us, and we came in 3 times in one day of different people. How do you feel about that? I know, like, it's not your responsibility, but just how do you think about, like, schools favoring sports?
I so personally believe in the arts and what a dramatic effect it has on our learning, our ability to learn, our development as a whole person, that it's really very difficult for me to be objective, I guess. I can't imagine how you couldn't put that into the equation. However, I do know that sports has and will continue to play a major role in schools and life around not only West Virginia, but obviously across the country. And I think it's unfortunate if someone is just absolutely not listening to you. Maybe you need to write a letter to the state board. Or maybe that's something you take to your county board. Maybe try that route first. Ask to speak before the county board. I mean, don't ever, as I said, we sometimes diminish the role that you play because we don't ask enough for your input. But don't ever underestimate the power of your voice. And particularly when you can look in a mirror and say, we're doing the right thing for the right reason, then it's worth fighting for. Well, thank you so much. Well, I'm telling you, I only have about 3 brain cells, and you really put them all to the test this morning. You had, these were wonderful questions, and I compliment you on your concern and your interest and your knowledge about what's going on in our school system. So thank you. Continue to keep yourself abreast of what's happening and to be involved. And good luck to each and every one of you. You are so important to this state. I hope each one of you know how very unique and special that you are, and that you are indeed the future of West Virginia. And we need you, we value you, and we certainly want you to be all that you can be. Thank you.
Campers. First of all, lunch is being moved to the library training room today. So that's where you did the arts activity the other day. So we're going to move there for lunch, but first you're going to go to the last session. You haven't been to it before.
Okay, I was gonna say, they didn't tell me that the only thing between them and lunch was me.
No, they have one more session.
All right, good.
We had just moved lunch, so I thought I better tell them where to go.
That's a good thing.
Thank you. So, your last session, then the library training room where we did the arts activity yesterday, Tuesday. That's where lunch will be today, not the green room.
All right.